Hello. Hi, 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 hi. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is so good to see everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 3rd. I am so shocked. I can't even say it right. Today's Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. Can you believe that? It's been 8 months already in this year. Wow. Yes, God has been good. It is so wonderful to see you. I am so excited to be here today because our storytelling train has jumped all over from West Africa, Ghana, through to Kenya, all the way to Tanzania today. And I'm just really, really psyched. I don't know. There's something about Tanzania that just makes you want to, just say Dar es Salaam. It has some ancient goodness about it. And that's what you're about to experience today. My name is Zoe Baraka, and I am your host for the next 30 to 40 minutes. The show is To My Younger Self. Let's do some greetings from all over the continent of Africa. As always, if you are from Burkina Faso, we say Bella to you in Moshi. Barakada Zua to all of our Hausa-speaking natives all over Africa. Ken Ken, Toma Toma. Fudua Wela, Toma Awela, Tepose Wunam Baraka. All of these, I always say, are my native tongue, Kasal, which just means you are welcome. How is work? How are you doing? Come on in, come on in, come on in. And if you speak Frafra from Ghana, we say La Awana. It just means, how are you? Indina and Wezo from the Ewe land of Ghana, of course. Oje Ko from the Ga people of Ghana. Ekabo, and some of them say Ekaro from the Yoruba land of Nigeria. Nabato from the Igbo land of Ghana, of Nigeria. Etiseng, Akwaba, Machin. All of these are from the Akan people of Ghana. Karibu, karibu sana, Swahili, habari gani. Akeyi, that's what the Creole people say, all the way in the land of Haiti. Naumai, that's the Maori people. Welena, that's what the Hawaiian people say. Dumela, from the Soto land of South Africa. And of course, welcome, welcome, all of the people from all over the world. Welcome. If you did not hear me say welcome or good morning or good afternoon or good evening in your native dialect, please do us a favor. Go into the comment section and let us know a little bit about your native tongue. Teach us how to say welcome to you. Okay? All right. I'm very excited today because we are going into the annals of, is that a right word? Yes, it is, of the African Union. And I was all set up to give you some history about what the African Union does and all that good stuff. But I was reminded that this show is about the person that is here to tell us the story. It is not about the entity she works for. It is about Miss Petrider Paul. Amazing, fantastic woman. Let me introduce her to you, and then you will know why I am excited. Petrider Paul is an Artem Next Gen ambassador. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so those of you who have Google, please go into Google and let me know what Artem Next Gen means. She served as a member of the African Union Commission. She's a youth advisory council member of the office of the AU Youth Envoy. My goodness, my mouth is full. She is a renowned advocate for youth leadership, gender, and health as an influencer for promotion of children's rights. She holds a BA in international relations from the University of Dodoma and a postgraduate in economic diplomacy from the Center for Foreign Relations in the United Republic of Tanzania. She received, get this is where I get really psyched. She received a Points of Light Award from Her Majesty the Queen, the Second, which is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. I try very hard to remember her name. In 2018, for her voluntary work to campaign to end child marriage and gender-based violence in the Commonwealth. Let me tell you, this young woman is a powerhouse, not only for East Africa, but for the whole of Africa. She alone has done so much in her very, very young, youthful life than a lot of people can say they've done in their years, if they're 80, 90, 100 years. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Please, please, for all of you who are storytelling connoisseurs who are on this train with us, help me, please. Welcome, 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 Miss Petrider Paul. Hi, hello.
Hello, Zoe.
It is so good to see you, my dear. Oh, my Lord.
I'm so happy to be here.
Wow, wow, wow. Listen, the floor is yours. As always, take it away.
Thank you so much, Zoe, and really delighted to be part of this session today and actually just share some bits and pieces of my story. And I hope it will advise and just kind of be a guide and pathway for a young girl out there trying to overcome the different challenges of life, but also not only to a young girl, to anyone who's watching who might also feel inspired. So I'm going to touch base on two major stories, ideally. I'll start with the story of my journey in, I guess, running through different cultures and customs, and then kind of how I started off within my work as a youth leader and gender. So it traced back once I came back in Tanzania. I was actually fortunate to have spent most of my childhood in Botswana, where the culture is quite different from the culture in Tanzania. So this can bring some bit of confusion, especially to a young person who has been exposed to a much more less conservative culture, and then you come back home to a conservative culture and you have to find ways to adapt. So ideally, part of my childhood was brought about in a lifestyle where young girls can be part of different leadership processes. They can be part of decision-making processes. And this is what I grew up in my primary school learning, that actually you can create some balances between the male and female gender, especially when it comes to different roles, when it comes to decision making. However, when I got back home, situations were a bit different. I came back to a conservative culture, and I was accustomed to adapt to it. But I kind of said, how about adapting to both being conservative but yet have a role in decision making? How can I influence my fellow young people, my fellow young girls, to actually be part of the decision making processes? So while in secondary school, I actually took part in different UN clubs. So they were United Nations clubs in the secondary schools that I went through in Tanzania. So I kind of took part within those roles and kind of was part of driving the agenda of gender equality, youth in leadership, and it kind of brought that light to majority of my fellow students, but also the different target outreach students that we also engaged with, that there's actually room for a young girl to actually be part of the decision making processes or even the leadership process by working together with the boy child or even the male gender. So we started more around developing collective youth driven solutions, and this took fast steps ahead. After secondary school, while we were having that short midterm break and end of school year breaks, I engaged much with different UN clubs in the country, doing a lot of community voluntary work. And this was not only on my own, but I engaged with a team of young people together and find better solutions to actually help the community, especially on the gender lens, so as to ensure we have more young girls, we have more young women who can actually be a voice of themselves and not just have their decisions made for. So within that whole process, I mean, there are a lot of setbacks, there are a lot of challenges in between, there are a lot of situations where you can get your advices or ideas ignored generally because you do not have a title. And when I say when you do not have a title, I mean you are nobody in the community, you're not recognized per se, you don't come from a wealthy family, or you don't come from, you're not a daughter of a minister or a daughter of a senior government leader. But how can you actually come about through and be part of the solution without any titles? So I decided to lead without a title. And I think this has been part of my many leadership approaches that I used within several roles that I was fortunate to be part on. Yes, I would have a title, but I wouldn't put my title at the forefront, because I want in different community members to engage with me as Petrider, to know me as Petrider, and not know me as a specific person in a specific institute or in a specific platform. So this can be challenging per se, because ideally in our societies you need to have a title to be given that front row seat to any position. However, I managed to work through around this, and mainly because within my line of work I focused more on volunteerism to gain a skill set. So we have a lot of young people, we have a lot of different people in our societies who lack the particular skills that are needed in different institutions, whether it's in the entertainment sector, whether it's in the fashion industry, or whether it's just in an environment of good governance and leadership. And yet still complain that they're not given room to be part of several institutions. So I focused my volunteerism on building skills, because I believe what you can bring on board is what you can actually make an institution or a different organization actually rely on you despite the age. There's been a lot of challenges in my youthful.
Can you tell us some of those challenges by way of stories?
Yes, a bit youthful, kind of growing up. I mean, I'm not that or
You're
they
right
say that
smack
like
in the
young.
middle, yes.
But within that short, youthful, major growth part of my life, I think the major challenges have been the fact that I was either too young for any role I got, or I was either the youngest person in an office. I worked for a foreign Commonwealth office in Tanzania, and I was the youngest employee in the whole office. Or either case, I'll be the youngest employee in the office, and yet a bit highly paid than the older colleagues. So I mean, these are some of the challenges that I think anyone can face in any institution, even despite being young or being old. It's how you really have to overcome the fact that in any institution, what you actually bring on the table is what really matters. How you devote your passion, how you devote your commitment to what you really like. You are not forced to do something based on what someone else is doing. I wouldn't be forced to host a talk show just because I see Zoe's doing very well in her talk shows. I also want to venture in that career. But you need to do something that you're really passionate with. So, for instance, you're really passionate about your role, and that's how you actually get to excel in it. So we have this wave of so many people going to different initiatives that they're not really interested in, but just for the case to keep their up meets, or just to be seen also being part of driving solution. So it really doesn't cost anything to take time and reflect on what you're really good at and be able to invest in it, because that's the whole point of it. I had a situation where I left a job that I didn't see myself fitting in. And to be honest, my mother thought I was crazy, because finding a job is really hard in the country. And I mean, it's really hard anywhere. But I wouldn't force myself to work in an area that I'm not comfortable with, or I don't see myself personally growing. And I think these are the tough decisions that one should really need to make to assess their careers, especially when you're a young person. There are a lot of issues involved there, and when you're a girl, there are a lot of marriage issues involved in between. You're seen as too old, too old while you're still young. So there are a lot of pressures that you can have in between. But I think my main advice, especially for young women, is take your time. Do not be forced into societal pressure just because the society is doing, others are doing this and that. Most of my friends personally are all married, and I'm not yet married, but it's within my targeted plan, but I do not want to be pressured for it. So those are some of the things that one should be considerate about, even for them. For the male gender, I think most men nowadays that I've seen, most of my friends, especially in Tanzania, they have a lot of pressure on how can they really be successful at a very young age. But success comes with time, and success comes with hard work and determination. You shouldn't want to be successful at a fast pace range, while you can actually be successful over a few months. Life changes. One day you can get an appointment role. I got an appointment role. Never in my whole entire life would I ever think that the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, would appoint me, a tiny little girl in Tanzania, to be part of his advisors. Or never did I ever think I'd sit in rooms with president, African leaders, all in one room, or ambassadors of different missions, all in one room, and they would refer to me as Her Excellency. So these are things that I think do come with a lot of determination, a lot of perseverance. There may be a lot of people who might think you're not good enough, and people are there to actually talk. People are there to actually
a little bit and ask for a specific story where maybe someone thought that you were not enough, or just a particular story that you probably emerged out of that has a poignant point.
And I think I'll share this story that I once catched up on you on it. So I spent a lot of my university life working, to be honest, because I feared the access to job market. I was already told once you're done with university, there are really no jobs out there. So while I was in university, I did a lot of part-time work while juggling my studies, while working, while in campus. I used to work online, support a lot of communications and program-related work to gender. But also during vacations, I'll spend my time volunteering for a local organization based in Tanzania. So I think one of the stepping stones for that particular local organization that I volunteered for almost, I think, 2 years of my whole university career was having that toxic kind of personalities within the office. So you can find some toxic personalities that can actually try to push you and bring you down. And sometimes you should actually not tolerate too much toxic relations, especially in institutions. I remember once I had that particular person tell me that I'll be an intern for as long as I live. Actually, that was really, it burned me. And it was quite hurting, I would say, because I was an intern, I was volunteering, I was not paid. and you find the senior leaders did not know about all the toxic words I was brought to, and you do not have that safe environment to actually explain such situation, or either you'll be informed why you are arriving in the office 10 minutes late, 5 minutes late. So I mean, I tried to tolerate because I was looking for a skill set, and I realized there are just some people who are really toxic. But there's a point I reached my breaking point. You know, everyone has that
Everyone
breaking
has
point.
that. Yes, yes.
Exactly. So I remember I left the institution on a holiday, asking for a holiday, but I really never got back because I was using that as an an entry point to actually exit the institution in a kind way. So after the holiday, I just informed the senior teams that I was going back to pursue my postgraduate studies, and I just wanted to dedicate much of my time on that. Unfortunately, I wasn't going to pursue my postgraduate studies. I did it a year after, but within that interval, I stayed home for almost, I remember, like 3 months or so, just trying to organize my life together, just trying to overcome all that. I would say that was totally an open, blunt harassment. So within that interval, that's where I actually was approached by a colleague I once worked with from Germany, and got hired in a consultancy work in one of the UN agencies in the country. So I came from here to here, I would say,
in a span of 3 months.
in a span of 3 months. And the same person that was told you'll be an intern for life, or you can't get this and that, I ended up training government officials. I ended up training ministry officials. I ended up training judges and interviewing judges with senior level in the country, and also presenting all the assignment pieces at ministerial level in the country. And I think from that on, that's when I realized that do not let people's words get to you. But also, if you cannot tolerate a toxic environment, it's totally okay to leave. There are hundreds of institutions, there are hundreds of people who can actually tap into your skill set. And to be honest, from there, that's when I ended up working for a Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. I started working for a donor agency, so the same agency that provided grants to the local organization. So
what a turn of events. Wow.
I know. I know. I think whoever was praying for me, their prayers worked.
Wow.
So I would say, yes, that was the most challenging part of my career and the most uplifting part. In the same year that I think from there on, I realized there's no need to always look back. And especially by then, I was 22 years old. So you are doing all this to 22 years old. Exactly. You're doing all this to 22 years old. And I think the only biggest thing for me, I always kept saying to different young people, I always mentioned to them that I was 23 years old, but I started my consultancy work with a UN agency. So you don't have to really wait until you reach a certain age. And yes, I was working with senior consultants who also respected me at equal level.
Right.
So I think that's one thing. And also, I think UN agencies have really good ways of treating all the staff's equivalent. I was also paid the same level at the senior level despite my age. So there was no that particular toxic kind of environment. And from there on, I was really bold to my decisions, bold to what I really would be able to do and not be able to do. And I realized, I think anyone can face a lot of challenge. That was my challenge from my part. But I think for me, it was also a learning moment. I did not want to go, some people will go through depressions, all sorts of calamities and all sorts of
because of
Exactly.
words people have spoken to you, because you could have just taken it and decided, I'm going to be an intern for the rest of my life, and then let that feed into you. And where would you
Exactly.
be now if that happened? Wow.
Exactly. So I think I knew what I could bring on the table, and I
Mm,
knew what I was able to do. And to be honest, I think those words um, were kind of I would say I should say karma. I don't know. Because after that, it's when I just got things from one to another. UNICEF, DFID, which is the now FCDO, African Union, Points of Light Award. Everything came hitting at a fast pace. I didn't know how to go about it.
wow.
I was truly overwhelmed. I didn't know how to go about all these spotlights, all these
Uh-huh.
engagements.
Right.
But I really took my time to engage effectively, and I actually learned from it. So I really even within my line of work, with my line of youth leadership, I like to engage with young people or even elders directly, and not have like another channel to it. For instance, within our role at the AU Youth Advisory Council, we had rooms to have assistants to support our work, but I didn't have an assistant. I'll manage my own work on my own. Even if I have delays, I'll just respond to it. We had a lot of partners, a lot of stakeholders from across Africa and outside Africa who'd reach out to see possible engagements. I would always take time to reply to them, because I realize there's a need to have empathy within the line of work that you're doing. And you don't know what a person is going through. You have to always be considerate of if you try to push the buttons in a wrong way. And just know that in the next, not even the next 1 year, even in a span of 2 or 3 months, you might actually come across this person once again, and
Again.
might be the
Yes.
person to actually help you out.
Wow. Wow. This is one of those stories where it's not necessarily a story of grace or grass to grace, because you weren't necessarily in the grass. It's just, it took a word for you to say, okay, I cannot be in this situation anymore. Most often than not, most people stay in there because they need the money, you know,
Sure.
need the money. And if you don't leave, if you leave, then what are you going to eat? How are you going to pay your
Exactly.
bills? And I find that most of us, including myself, are stuck in that spot where we are just saying, how do I jump? And that's exactly what you did. The moment you jumped, the whole entire universe began to conspire to lift you up. And that's what I'm hearing you saying to your younger self, to always jump. Because if you stay in the toxic situation, you can never rise above it, right?
Exactly. And especially to different young people. And I think this is something that some don't see. A lot of young people, we are easily lured to being used.
Mm,
And whether it's through an institution or whether it's through a different platform. I mean, I've coordinated a lot of youth activities within East Africa, working with different partners. I'm always firm to be known as find ways to support these young people. Don't just have them share your agenda or do the agenda for free. They also need to see how best they can meet their ends meet,
mhm.
and just see how best they can grow. So not only saying we are going to engage a young person for X and Y, but also how best can you build their skill set. Some might be interested, some might not be interested. So this is what I always even tell some of my younger peers who would wish to learn from me. I always say that see where you're, if even if you're in any institution, assess yourself personally. How do you see yourself in the next 5 years, next 4 years? Is this a place you'll personally grow? If it's not, try to find a place that you'll grow, or try to find something that you can actually work with, even despite the fact that they might not pay you, but you really like what you're doing.
Right,
Because
right.
actually, when you're doing something you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like extra burden of work. It just feels like you're having fun.
Wow. So find your passion is one of the things I am hearing, because obviously you were working ever since you were in secondary school, if not, university. You just worked and worked and worked and worked for free because you were an intern for all those times with no kind of support system whatsoever, until you got to a point where somebody told you you're going to be an intern for the rest of your life. And then suddenly you jump out of there and look where you are now. What a powerful story to share. I'm looking at looking at a few comments here. Rita says that, and she also worked hard. She was smart enough to get her feet wet by venturing out into the job sector, even whilst in school, which is exactly what I just said. Siska is watching us. Hi, Siska. She's watching us all from Ghana on YouTube, and she says, honest jumps is necessary. Rather jump than be pushed. In your particular case, I kind of feel like you got pushed a little bit with that lady's words that said to you, you're just going to be an intern for the rest of your life. Whatever made her say that was the most toxic thing to say to a young person who is trying to glean from you, which is also a lesson for the elders that are watching us, to not throw around their words too carelessly, because you never know. What if you aren't strong enough to handle it? Then what? I see all of you guys. I see all of you. Sylvia, thank you so much for watching us. Ralia from Nigeria, I see you. Beverly Ross, I see you. I see you. Casper, thank you so much for joining us. Jane, thank you for joining us from YouTube. Auntie Doris, hello. It is so good to see you. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. I think I already said hello to Siska. Nuta, thank you so much for joining us. I hope I said that name right. I am always trying to say the names right. I hope I got that. Of course, Lola, thank you so much watching us from YouTube. And Rita, my personal Osafumami. Osafumami means pastor. Thank you so much for joining us. I truly appreciate you, and I appreciate your engagement. As always, I am blown away with your story, as in how you literally just took yourself out of that. What would you tell young people? I know you've said it already. I want you to just encapsulate it in a few words. What does it take to come out of that fear? Because mostly what keeps us in those jobs that we absolutely hate and it's toxic is fear. So can you tell us something about that real quick before we jump off?
I think, Zoe, from my side, it will be never be afraid to take risks. Sometimes the risks can be life-threatening. You might think this might be the end of your career. You might not get the opportunities, because ideally I was holding on to my roles so as I can get, apart from getting the skill set, which I knew how to manage projects and manage different partner relations. I also was eyeing out for other partners that might have an opening that I can also jump in and actually work for them. So when I left my role, I thought, okay, this is the end of my career. But actually, it was not the end of my career, because young people, we need to network more, meet different directors of institutions, take part in different events. So sometimes it's always good to take risks, to be honest, and it can actually pay off, even when it's approaching a certain institution. I remember telling my sister that when I was done with university, I sent over 100 job applications. And it was quite difficult to get even a response to some of them. But I took that risk, and some did reply and brought me on board. So I think it's all about taking risks. Never fear to take risks, but also stay focused as much as you can. There's a lot of temptations. There's a lot of things that can drive away your focus. But once you stay focused and limit conversations that do not really, I would say they're not fruitful. conversations that are toxic and just focus on your career growth, it can really go a long way.
Wow. You just told your story so succinctly that I have nothing else to say but to say, guys, two things. Find your passion, stay focused, and when you need to jump, jump. That's pretty
Always
much
jump.
it. Yes, when you need to jump, just jump. Because I guarantee you, obviously, she wasn't jumping without direction. She just knew that I need to leave this toxic situation for my own peace of mind, which in itself is direction, but also jump with purpose, and do not be afraid to jump. Wow, Petrider, thank you so much. And can I just say, you spoke like a proper diplomat. You You just came in and said, this is my determination for today. And that's exactly what you're going to get in a very nice way. And I appreciate you for that. Thank you for sticking to your guns. Thank you for telling us your stories and just how far you have come. It is an honor and a pleasure to know you. Like I always say, storytelling is diplomacy. And you literally just proved it, that you can tell a story with diplomacy. I appreciate that so much about you. Guys, I thank you for joining us from Facebook and also from YouTube. Thank you for engaging us. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. There is so much going on in the comment section right now. Petrider, I would say when you get a moment, just go in there and try to respond to a few of them. Next week, we are going to be having an author, a transformational speaker, and a fantastic wife and mother. Her name is Abba Keto Anda. You do not want to miss next week. I promise you, it's going to be another roller coaster storytelling train on To My Younger Self. In this month of August, we will be going from different parts of Africa, so I'm very, very excited about that. Next week, we're going to Ghana again by way of Florida. So do not miss it. Do not miss it at all. Once again, my name is Zoe Baraka. The show has been To My Younger Self. And we're saying goodbye to you from New York and also from Dar es Salaam, where it is afternoon. How do you say afternoon? Good afternoon in your native language, Petrider.
Bari mchana.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm going to have to learn that on the down low.
Thank you so much, Zoe. It has been a wonderful session.
Yes, it has. I appreciate you so much, my dear. I know there's a lot on your plate, so I'm going to tell you thank you. I will touch base with you again. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.